have given it a good, theater 7 minutes. We got some chaos going on. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Judson Memorial Church. My name is Micah. I am the senior minister here. My pronouns are they and them, and I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces rolling into this place, some new faces as well. We have an amazing service planned for you today, but two things that we want to do before we jump into that. First of all, turn to that camera back there and wave hello to the Judson diaspora who are joining us in the Zoom room. It's so wonderful to feel your spirits in this space. Thank you for being a part of this service and for taking the spirit of this service outside our walls all the way to where you are right now. And then I invite you to settle for a bit as we acknowledge the first peoples on this land. We gather today on land that is the ancestral home of the Munsee Lenape tribe, of the Lenni Lenape people. We acknowledge these people of the Stony Country and decry the unjust taking of their Lenape hoking. To acknowledge well and move beyond ceremony to reciprocity, we commit to softening, expanding, and evolving ourselves in order to better understand our place on this land. We commit to making meaningful connections between the original people and their ancestral land in order to counteract the myth-spinning systems in which we still exist today, including white supremacy, Christian supremacy, and settler colonialism. And we commit to counteracting all harm to original peoples that perpetuates a narrative of erasure. If you are hearing those words and wondering how Judson is actually evolving and trying to embody the words that I just read, come and find me. After the service, I'll be hovering around this chair right here, and I can connect you to the folks who are leading our Sacred Reckonings work. Sacred Reckonings is a program where several dozen of our members are leaning into how to make Judson a more anti-racist and decolonized church. And we would love to have you join that work with us. And it is my joy to say that we are in week 3 of our season of Revolution through Evolution. And Revolution through Evolution has led us through Revolution at the table. Last week was Revolution at the border, and this week is Revolution for the earth, for this planet. And we have two amazing guests with us this morning. First of all, Reverend Chelsea MacMillan will be our speaker, so give her a round of applause and welcome. Thank you, Chelsea. And then a longtime friend, DC Anderson, will be a musical guest today, so give DC and his partner Doug a round of applause and welcome. And then, no stranger to this congregation, but still always amazing when she joins us, Denise Koncelik is back filling in for Henco Espag. So Denise, DC, and Chelsea, we're so happy to have you with us. We're so happy to have all of you with us. And now I invite you to settle even more deeply into this time together with a musical meditation from Denise. Thank you so much, Denise. And as we move into this service where we celebrate creation and recommit to how we will care for the gift that creation is, I want to note some more creation from our congregation that is surrounding us today. First of all, the collage on the cover of your bulletin is by the amazing Hannah Nutter, who is not with us in person, but who not only is a gorgeous spirit who hangs out in our congregation, but is an amazing collage artist. And also the flowers behind us, because Ted Dawson couldn't be with us today, are provided by Tamara and Alexis and Enzo. So round of applause for all three of them because they are here and gave us gorgeous, gorgeous flowers to look at as we meditate today. Now I invite you, if you feel comfortable, close your eyes for a moment to our invocation, a prayer for this planet. For the beauty, for the love, for the joy, we raise hymns of grateful praise as we add our offerings to the landfill, a chorus singing, an environment ringing, earth, sky, hill, vale pleading amongst the plastic. Oh, for the will to rewild ourselves. What would you give up to get back to the garden? What tree or flower will convince you? What sun, moon, star will shed some light and stir a song that can actually change keys? For the brightness and the beauty, for creatures great and small, when will wisdom blossom and wonder take wing? When will gratitude grow from distraction to action? For delight is duty, and our ditties are for none, if not for all. If you are hoping for hope, hold the hymnody and listen for the alarming lullabies alerting us to care for the cradle that has never failed to carry us. Allow yourself to be rocked. Amen. And now please rise in body and or spirit, and this is your first chance to blow the roof off this joint with Creation is Calling. Let's sing together. Harmonizers, I see you, I hear you. Please be seated, you sound great. This morning's ancient testimony comes from our old pal Rumi. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. Amen. And now it is my pleasure to welcome up D.C. Anderson for the first of his numbers for us today, and then we'll go immediately into a message from Reverend Chelsea. So great to have you both here.
Hi. One of the things I love about Facebook is that you find that sometimes the most wonderful poets and poetry, and that's where I came across Chalon Harkin, whose poem this is. And then the second thing I will sing is actually her poem that I asked her if I could set to music, and she said, okay. So anyway. Each day before our surroundings become flat with familiarity, and the shapes of our lives click into place, dimensionless and average as Tetris cubes, before hunger knocks from our bellies like a cantankerous old man, and the duties of the day stack up like dishes, and the architecture of our basic needs commissions all thought to construct the four-door sedan of safety, before gravity clings to our skin like a cumbersome parasite, and the colored dust of dreams sweeps itself obscure in the vacuum of reason, each morning before we wrestle the world and our hearts into the shape of our brains, look around and say, wow. Feed yourself fire. Scoop up the day entire like a planet-sized bouquet of marvel sent by the universe directly into your arms and say, wow. Break yourself down into the basic components of primitive awe and let the crescendo of each moment carbonate every capillary and say, wow. Yes, before our poems become calloused with revision, let them shriek off the page of spontaneity. And before our metaphors get too regular, let the sun stay a conflagration of homing pigeons that fights through fire each day to find us. The worst thing we ever did was put God in the sky, out of reach, pulling the divinity from the leaf, sifting out the holy from our bones, stripping the sacred from everywhere to put in a cloud man elsewhere, prying closeness from our heart. The worst thing we ever did was take the dance and the song out of prayer, made it sit up straight, cross its legs, removed its rejoicing, wiped clean its hip sway, its questions, its ecstatic yowl, its tears. The worst thing we ever did was pretend God isn't the easiest thing in this universe, available to every soul in every breath.
Wow. Thank you, DC. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Hello. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's truly an honor to be here. To start off, I'd like to offer a brief meditation to help us begin our inner revolution for the earth. So I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable, or find something just in front of you to rest your eyes upon for a moment. And feel your feet on the ground, the weight of your body in your chair. And take a couple of deep breaths. Feel the earth supporting the weight of your body. Take another deep breath and know that there's no separation between you and the earth. Your flesh and bones are the earth. Everything you eat came from the earth and in turn became your body. There's no separation between you and the earth. Water is flowing through your entire being right now, through your veins, nourishing you, nourishing every cell in your body. Air fills your lungs with life-sustaining oxygen as you live in constant reciprocity with the trees. Where does your breath end and the tree's breath begin? There's no separation between you and the earth. And fire lives in you too, animating your every movement. So take another deep breath into that feeling, knowing that there's no separation between you and the earth. And if your eyes are closed, go ahead and open them and take a look around at all of the other earthly beings in this room. And know that we are not separate from one another. Lately, reminding myself of this literal and physical connection to the earth is my favorite way to stay grounded and resource myself through these apocalyptic times in which we live. What comes to mind when you hear the word apocalypse? Nuclear war, zombies, chaos in the streets? With a worsening climate crisis and political turmoil here and around the world, the apocalypse seems to be in the collective consciousness more and more. I've even had casual conversations with my friends where we shyly wonder aloud if we should prepare go bags in case something were to happen. And what that something is, no one really knows. But there's this sense that something's about to give. Am I the only one feeling this way? No, I didn't think so. And sometimes these conversations are humorous. I often half-jokingly tell people that I overcame my caffeine addiction because of the apocalypse. I figure if I'm running through the streets of New York City trying to figure out survival, I don't want to be dealing with a withdrawal headache. I've actually stopped expecting people to laugh when I say that because often I get this response of, "Oh, I never thought of that." We are living in apocalyptic times. The last 10 months have been the hottest ever recorded in the 174 years that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has kept track. Carbon emissions, one of the biggest drivers of climate change, are at an all-time high. And because of something called carbon lag, the extreme weather events that we're already experiencing are caused by the emissions produced 20 years ago. Even if we stopped emitting all carbon tomorrow, if we stopped driving, flying planes, using electricity, we would still have 30 years of carbon emissions in the atmosphere warming our planet. People across the global south are dying due to extreme heat, flooding, famine. The number of climate refugees is projected to reach 1.2 billion people by 2050. That's 2.5 decades from now. I'll be younger than my mother is right now. Though all of us are touched by the climate crisis, the ones who will continue to suffer the most are the ones who are least responsible. For example, one flight from NYC to London emits more carbon than the average Nigerian uses in an entire year. This isn't even to mention the socio-political dynamics that could lead to war over resources, increased border security, keeping out those millions of climate refugees. It's not to mention the effects on the more than human world, schools of fish dead due to warming waters, soil and water littered with plastic and poisoned by chemical spills, dozens of animal species going extinct every day. The list goes on and on. We are living in a climate-changed world, and there's no going back. Take a breath. Feel your feet on the ground, on the earth, and stay with it. Don't go back to sleep. In spite of everything I've just named, we're not in the apocalypse because the world is about to end. We're in the apocalypse because much is being revealed to us. As some of you may already know, the original Greek word apocalypsis means to unveil, uncover, or even discover. What would it mean, for example, if this time was about lifting the veil on a world of separation and greed? What would it mean to strip away the lies of self-sufficiency and supremacy that pervade our collective consciousness? In other words, what world do we want to save? What if we understood the apocalypse to be a laying bare of anything and everything that stands in the way of the truth of our interconnectedness with each other and the planet? That sounds like revolution to me. In fact, John of the Apocalypse was likely preaching revolution at the same time as he was Revelation. He wrote the book of Revelation from the prison island of Patmos, ostensibly exiled for threatening the Roman Empire. So apocalypse, especially as we understand it from its Judeo-Christian lineage, has always had this backdrop of revolution. So instead of seeing this time as the end of the world, what if it's just the end of the world as we know it? What if this is a time of both endings and beginnings? The Great Turning, as Joanna Macy calls it, or in the words of Valerie Carr, the darkness of the womb. As the veil is lifted, we might find ourselves with more questions than answers. Big questions like, why do bad things happen? How can my fellow human beings treat this living, breathing earth and all of her glorious creatures this way? And more personal questions. Why am I alive at this time? How am I to respond to the cries of the earth? We are in a liminal space, perched on that doorsill between two worlds, like Rumi says. And as painful and uncomfortable as it can be, we must find ways to stay in this in-between space, because this is where possibility lives. This is where God lives. Remembering this is easier said than done. It's much easier to let ourselves be seduced by the kind of apocalyptic thinking that absolves us of our responsibility to one another and to the earth. We think the world is ending, the odds are stacked against us, so I'll just take care of me and mine and maybe enjoy life while I can. But we can't let despair be an excuse to not do our part in caring for one another. And this really matters when it comes to the climate crisis. Every 1/10 of a degree of warming that we can hold off means saving millions of lives. On the other hand, we mustn't let ourselves be charmed by false hope. Technology alone won't save us. For example, if we replaced all of the cars of the European Union alone, we would deplete the entire Earth's resources of lithium. So staying in this liminal space, and I hope you're still with me, feel free to keep breathing, remembering your connection to the earth. Staying in this liminal space also means holding space for possibility. It's a place to open up our imaginations beyond anything that our limited human consciousness can yet fathom. Another world is possible. But to paraphrase Starhawk, if our end goal is everyone being a vegan democratic socialist who meditates every day and drives an electric vehicle, then we're probably thinking too small. When we fixate on one specific vision, we lose access to possibility. But we keep ourselves in possibility by staying open and curious. Each and every one of us is called in this time to take an active part in lifting the veil. We get to choose which apocalypse we want to live in, but we have to make that choice. And doing this will require us to learn how to live in a climate-changed world. So now I'd like to share a few steps to living in this apocalypse. Step 1, hold your center. Just because the world isn't going to end doesn't mean that shit isn't getting real. Things could get much, much worse. So how do we stay present to and through the ups and downs of these times? To get through this apocalypse, and I say this apocalypse because human history is rife with upheaval. This is not the first time that we've experienced existential crises, but it might be the first time we've experienced it on such a scale. To get through this apocalypse, we're going to need people who are really grounded. Again, this is easier said than done. I don't know about you, but I already find it difficult to stay grounded now. Think of how much harder it could be as the climate crisis worsens. In his book, Why the World Doesn't End, Michael Meade writes that there are 3 kinds of people. The first kind is someone who's just looking out for themselves, someone who sees life as survival of the fittest. These people, driven by base instinct, are susceptible to fundamentalism of all kinds. The second person is aware of the needs of others. They seek to serve the greater good, and they're often environmentally minded. Our nonprofits and houses of worship are full of these people. Now, before you all get too pleased with yourselves, Meade points out that in the face of difficulty, the second kind of person often regresses to the level of the first person. Those survival instincts kick in, and suddenly even the nicest guy abandons his values, and it's every man for himself. Even nice people are susceptible to fundamentalism of all kinds. Think about this just for a moment. Imagine what will happen if our food systems collapse due to drought or flooding. Imagine if violence erupts over rationed water or other resources. Will you keep your cool? Will you share your last crust of bread with a stranger? Even now, hopefully well-fed and safe, where are you falling into fundamentalism because of fear about the future? Meade tells us that there's a third kind of person, one who, and I quote, is forged from life experiences that involve both the darkest moments of human existence as well as the bright moments of human vision and conscious awareness. In other words, the ones who will navigate this crisis and help others navigate this crisis are the ones who are able to hold the darkness, the sorrow, and the pain along with the joy, hope, and possibility that exist in this time. To be the third kind of person is to know how to find your center. And what I mean by that is learning how to be present and cultivate equanimity. Don't lose energy reacting to every terrible thing that comes across your newsfeed. Every time that happens, we're wasting our precious life force, and we need that life force to keep responding to the cries of the earth. Presence takes practice. And this might look different for everyone. It might be therapy, meditation, creative practices that help you stay open to possibility. And of course, feeling your feet on the ground and remembering your connection to the earth. The second step is to follow your heartbreak. And note that I don't say that the second step is to connect to your love. Love is easy, it's a given. Grief, on the other hand, which of course is inseparable from love, shows us what we're made out of. Being able to stay with the pain of loss and with the unknown helps us become that third kind of person, someone who's grown their capacity to hold it all. Grief also helps us to stay in that liminal space where we can discover new ways of living and being on the earth. After loss, we are irrevocably changed, yet we're still here and we have to figure out how to move forward. And because grief connects us to what we love, the things that bring us joy, we're reminded of what makes life worth living, and that is the place from which we want to create a new world. Because we're living in a climate-changed world, we'll need to practice facing our grief over and over again. Grief becomes its own practice. And that's why I've been facilitating grief circles for the last 5 years. The first ones were actually right here in Judson with Extinction Rebellion. When we carve out space to witness each other in the rage and the bewilderment and sadness, we remember that we're not alone in this. We remember to tap into what matters most and grow our capacity for love. Think of something or someone you stand to lose to climate change. A family member, the fireflies, swimming in the ocean. Think of what you would do if you could do anything to protect it or them. Feel that love that you have. And for our third step, put your love into action. And the kind of action that we need today is collective, organized action. When we engage in nonviolent protest, we are collectively lifting the veil by bringing public attention to the systems that aren't working for us or any living creature on this planet. We're facing the existential crisis of our lifetime, and the media and politicians and most of humanity are just sleepwalking right toward it. But every time that we show up for justice, we're helping to lift that veil. When we show up at Chase Bank headquarters to say no more to the funding of fossil fuels, we're showing the world that unchecked greed is actively destroying the planet. When we join prayer camps as an act of resistance like we did at Standing Rock, we're amplifying the struggle and resilience of Native Americans and the necessity of their sovereignty and leadership in conserving the land. Taking public action is a way to help shift consciousness and help others find their willpower and their voice. Doing this in community helps amplify the action beyond the efforts any single one of us can take. And there are so many climate groups out there in the city, Extinction Rebellion, Green Faith, so many more. Feel free to come talk to me and I will direct you. Whenever you find yourself overcome with despair, I hope you remember that there is a reason you are alive at this time. You have unique gifts to share with this world. We're all called to be lifters of the veil and to lay one world to rest while birthing another. And this new world, of course, is more of a remembering of something ancient, something we already know deep in our bones. And many indigenous cultures have never lost the knowledge that humans are part of the living earth, that we're all related to each other and all creatures on this planet. The spirit of interconnectedness is indigenous to all of us, whether or not we've forgotten it. So which apocalypse will we choose? The one where we give in to fear and dystopia, or the one in which we remember our connection to the earth, hold our center, and love a more beautiful world into being? This apocalypse that we're currently in is an opportunity to risk everything for joy, to risk everything for the achingly beautiful planet that we're a part of. Why would we waste time doing anything but that? Thank you.
Thank you so, so much, Chelsea. And Chelsea really means it. Chelsea is connected to both Extinction Rebellion and Green Faith and multiple other places, so come and find her after the service if you'd like to talk with her. Thank you so, so much for those words. DC, thank you for the beautiful music. And now is your chance to join the song as well, so please rise in body and or spirit. And as we continue to reflect on Chelsea's questions and challenges, let's sing Our Evolution. Please be seated. Now is the moment in our service where we welcome monetary gifts. So you will see good old-fashioned baskets being passed around the room. There are also multiple ways to give online that are listed in your bulletin. And for those in the diaspora, those ways will be listed both in your bulletin and in your chat in the Zoom room. But there are also multiple ways to give at Judson. You've seen those ways today, these flowers, that bulletin cover, what Chelsea has shared, DC and Denise's beautiful gifts, the harmonies that all of you are bringing to this space today, which I will continue to name. There are many ways to give here, and we need money, so give as you're able. And I will invite DC back up here to sing us through this time of offering.
In quiet and with dignity, love made its way to me in pain, unnecessary pain. I'm 24, before me at my door, worse for wear, mocked and sore. Why, love said, why is there war? Love met me broken, torn. love felt compelled to warn. Through me alone you were born. Love told me, broken, torn. I've gotta hand it to this thing, this love that calls on me to sing, when lately all I've known is whispering. I've gotta hand it to this thing. If guns go silent for a day, why can't it always be that way? Why can't we all, undone, unarmed, ensure no mother's child is harmed? The future of the human race depends on us, the fears we face. I set aside my hurt, my rage, to harness hope and turn the page. I stand before you all ahead. I come as witness, love's not dead. By your own love you must be led, to leave no prayer for peace unsaid. In quiet and with dignity, love made its journey home to me. It told me, 2024, I will be quieted no more. Thank you, Micah.
Thank you so much, DC. Would you all please rise in body and or spirit? You've heard the questions. Which apocalypse will you choose? Which apocalypse will we choose? Lift the veil. This service might be ending, but our service in the world continues. We've got one more chance to sing into creation's song together. Let's do it and go out with some beautiful harmonies. Amen. Great, y'all. You really brought that singing today. Please be seated. Let's have a round of applause for all of these gorgeous folks who made this service for you today. Chelsea, DC, Denise, thank you so much. Henco, we feel you in the space. Thank you for your planning as well. And now is the moment where we welcome the diaspora to magically enter this space behind me on the wall. Wave hello to us. That looks like me. Let's see everybody else instead of me.